The Kansas volleyball team earned an NCAA tournament bid. We'll have the details there. Men's and women's hoops both in action this weekend. We'll see how they fared on Saturday and Sunday. And the Chiefs with a new insider this week, so no Griffin Hughes, but Bleacher Report featured columnist Farzin Vousoughian will join us, so we're excited to have him on the show. All that and more on Good Morning KU next. Hey, happy first day of December and a warm welcome, because you'll need it today, a little chilly out there. Into Good Morning KU, Jackson Long here, ready to fill you in with all the sports from the weekend. First serve of the show, it's the Kansas volleyball team, earning a seeded position in the NCAA tournament. The Jayhawks will host first and, if necessary, second round games in Topeka this weekend. That's at the Expo Center. Friday at 6:30, Kansas will take on Arkansas Little Rock, with the winner of the matchup facing the Oregon State and Creighton victor on Saturday. It's the third straight season KU has earned a seeded position in the tournament. They did so this year with a 22-8 record, good for second place in the Big 12. Kansas football now. The football team playing its final game of the season and the final game for the seniors this Saturday in the Sunflower Showdown against Kansas State. It was all Kansas State from the get-go. Jake Waters drops back to pass. It's a 44-yard touchdown pass to Tyler Lockett. Kansas State all over the Jayhawks early. And then a funky play here. Cummings drops back to pass, looks to find Rodriguez Coleman near the end zone, and he kicks it about 25, 30 feet up in the air. And Randall Evans comes down with it for Kansas State. So the ball bouncing the wrong way there for the Jayhawks. And later, of course, Waters went to Sexton for 37 yards. It was a tough day for the Jayhawks, and they lose the Sunflower Showdown and their final game of the season. So a tough way to end the year for the Jayhawks. Now it's on to recruiting. That's both players and a head coach. So it'll be interesting to see where interim coach Clint Bowen falls into the mix after his run as interim coach during the last couple games of the season. And the Kansas men's basketball team helped provide solace to the Kansas faithful Sunday afternoon as they matched up with another powerhouse program, Michigan State, in the finals of the Orlando Classic. Tom Izzo, Bill Self, legends of the hardwood. Perry Ellis, emerging force on the hardwood. He gets the ball in the paint. A nice little double move and a saucy finish off the glass. He finished with 17 points and 9 boards. Down early, Kansas would grab a lead in the second half and keep the Spartans at arm's length. That's Frank Mason with a tough finish in transition. He pushes the lead to 7 points. Old Sparty wouldn't go away. Travis Trice with the transition three. It's a 3-point ball game with just over a minute 30 left in the game. It was a little too late for State. Mason grabs the rebound, his 10th of the game, to go along with 10 points. That's double-double last time I checked. Jayhawks are tourney champs, the first 18 tournament wins under Bill Self. Perry Ellis, you're the real MVP. Yes, he actually was voted the tournament's most valuable player. 61-56 is the final. Jayhawks playing some better basketball as of late. And we'll stay with basketball here. The women's team took on number 2 Notre Dame, and it was a tough matchup for them as well. They fall 47 to Notre Dame's 89. Chelsea Gardner with 15 points and 6 rebounds. Natalie Knight, 13 points, 6 assists. She also was 3 for 4 from 3-point range. Next up, the Jayhawks will take on Incarnate Word this Thursday. That wraps it up for your KU sports this weekend. No Griffin Hughes today, but we'll still have our Chiefs talk. And with a familiar face, we're excited to welcome in Farzin Vousoughian after the break. So don't leave, and you shouldn't. You stay tuned to this program. We'll be back right after the break.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Well, it's Cyber Monday, so we'll go all techie on you and bring in this week's Chiefs Insider via Skype. It's Bleacher Report featured columnist and familiar face around these parts, Farzin Vousoughian. Farzin, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
The Broncos win last night, 29-16 over the Chiefs, jumping on Kansas City with 14 points. All right, Will, we just lost. Farzin, are we still there?
Yeah,
All right,
still
good.
here.
Sorry, we didn't want you to go away that quickly. The Chiefs were down 14 points in the first quarter. Where do you point the fingers, or what's the key reason to Kansas City not getting the job done last night?
I think it all starts with coaching. Andy Reid had 10 days to prepare for this game, and there's been so much made about Andy Reid and how much time he is given and how well he does when he's given plenty of time, whether it's a bye week or a 10-day break. And Kansas City looked unprepared. They looked like a team that didn't even prepare for this game. The first 3 drives all went 3 and outs for negative 10 yards, and the Broncos took advantage of that and had a 14-0 lead. Defensively, the Chiefs did play better. Denver never scored another touchdown after that, but Kansas City didn't score either a whole lot. So, anytime you're limited to field goals, but the other team is not scoring, you'll take it. And I think a lot of this falls on Andy Reid, especially the Oakland loss, with the way the team just looked really unprepared.
Two games in a row, obviously, lost for the Jayhawks. Now, Eric Berry was diagnosed with, I guess not officially diagnosed, but he has found a mass in his chest. They don't know if it could be lymphoma. Do you think Eric Berry's absence as a player and as an emotional leader was a factor in this game?
I think emotionally, yes. On the field, Eric Berry's had a little bit of trouble this year. He missed a majority of the first half of the season because of an ankle injury, which he had a little bit before the regular season started as well. But, Eric Berry's the kind of player that everyone likes to be around. Look at his time at the University of Tennessee. He was nominated a captain before his senior year. I mean, this guy really had a lot on his shoulders, and so many people were behind him. And they wore the red on red mainly because of him, because he loved the red on red. When Justin Houston got that big run stuff for negative yardage, he lifted his shirt, and you could see a 29 marked in dark red right there. So this team's really trying to play for Eric Berry, and it's tough, especially when one of your best players is not playing with you. It's kind of tough to play like that.
Absolutely. Now, the loss brings it to a 2-game losing streak, both in the division. Oakland, of course, 2 games ago. They match up against Arizona this week, and they looked unbeatable at times at 9-1, but they've also lost 2 straight. What's your outlook going into next Sunday's contest?
Yeah, well, Arizona's a team that started off with the best NFL record, surprisingly, too. And I think they're kind of the Kansas City Chiefs from last year. I don't have a prediction on this yet. I'll have one later in the week in one of my previews. But the thing that really impresses me about Arizona is not just their coaching and Bruce Arians, who I think is the front runner for Coach of the Year, but also the way that the Arizona Cardinals have played defense, especially against some really good teams. And you look at Kansas City and how they have done offensively. I mean, all you have is Jamal Charles and Travis Kelce every now and then, and an offensive line that can't protect for Smith. The offensive line has given up 6 sacks twice in the last 4 games, once against Buffalo and last night against Denver. So this doesn't really bode well for Kansas City offensively. I think this could be a defensive showdown and possibly a game that's a low-scoring game, and it could come down to who has the better leg.
All right, so we'll do some early predictions. You passed on giving one for Arizona and KC. I don't mind that there. Nice little plug for your column as well. I'll make sure to let everyone know to follow your stuff. You write great stuff, thousands and thousands of views each week. So 2 quick early predictions. Will the Chiefs make the playoffs?
That's pretty tough right now. I actually just submitted an article to my editor. I'm not quite sure where the Chiefs really stand at this point. I think coaching becomes a big factor. Can Andy Reid get it together? Can he give the ball to Jamal Charles more? Because you don't have anybody else on this offense. And Andy Reid, this isn't the first time Andy Reid has been quote-unquote negligent giving the ball to Jamal Charles. So that is kind of a concern. The good news is Kansas City has the tiebreaker against a lot of teams in the AFC because they beat them before. Buffalo, Miami. They'll have a shot against Pittsburgh later in the year. They have the tiebreaker against Baltimore, even though they haven't beat them. But they also beat San Diego earlier this year and have a chance to go 2-0 in Week 17. So Kansas City is in a good position to take the one of the 2 wildcard spots because of the head-to-head records. It's going to be a really close call when it shouldn't be, but I think Kansas City can make it in the end.
There could be 6 teams at 7-5 if the Dolphins win tonight, so that would be an incredible jumble there in the middle of the pack there in the AFC. All right, now real quick, give me a Super Bowl prediction. It's December 1st, but it's never too early for one of those.
No, never too early. I've got to say, yesterday I thought the game of the year would have been Green Bay and New England. It didn't necessarily turn out to be an exciting, flashy game that we all wanted it to be, and being somewhat close. I think the score is kind of a false indication of how the game looked, but Green Bay looked really good, and I think Aaron Rodgers really better than Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. I think he is the best quarterback in the NFL right now, and I think Rodgers is going to lead Green Bay to a Super Bowl win. And I think it's going to be against whoever has the #1 seed in the AFC. Right now, Denver and New England, both 9-3, the only 9-3 teams. New England has the #1 seed, and you just can't pick against New England when they're at home. So if the Patriots do have the #1 seed, and if they are at home, even if they have Peyton Manning come to town, I think the Patriots are going to go to the Super Bowl, and I think the Packers are going to win over the Patriots.
Yeah, a lot of predictions. That could be the preview. That's Farzin Vousoughian. We appreciate you joining this morning. It's fantastic to have you on and good to see a familiar face.
All right, thanks for having me.
Make sure you check out all of his stuff on Bleacher Report. He does an excellent job covering the Chiefs. We'll take a quick break here, and we'll be back with the news right after this.
Hi, I'm Lane Kofis.
And I'm Daniel Garrett. This is your Monday morning news update. Hong Kong police and protesters clashed overnight, marking a violent escalation for the more than 2-month-old pro-democracy movement in the South China port city, where many residents resent the restrictions regarding the 2017 elections. Riot police used pepper spray, batons, and water hoses to stop activists storming government buildings, while some protesters held yellow umbrellas, the symbol of pro-democracy movement.
The body of an Ohio State University football player who has been missing for 5 days was found in Columbus on Sunday. 22-year-old Costa Karageorge was found in a dumpster blocks away from his apartment with an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound, according to Columbus police spokesman.
No criminal charges will be filed in the death of a Missouri woman at a Kansas jail 2 days after she and her sister were arrested for possessing a small amount of marijuana. Relatives of Brenda Sewell of Kansas City, Missouri, and said the jailers in Sherman County in western Kansas refused to give her prescription medication and were slow to help after she collapsed in her cell. Sewell was 58 when she died last January 22nd. The family said it plans to file a civil lawsuit.
Today is World AIDS Day, and free HIV testing is available from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here in the Kansas Union. Student Health Services and the Lawrence Douglas County Health Department are providing the service as a joint partnership. Over 16% of 1 million people in the United States are unaware that they have HIV.
A St. Louis police officers group called on the NFL to punish 5 Rams players who stood with their hands raised before trotting onto the field for pregame introduction Sunday. The St. Louis Police Officers Association said it was profoundly disappointed with what it called a display that police officers around the nation found tasteless, offensive, and inflammatory. It called for the players involved to be disciplined and for both the league and team to issue a very public apology. Head coach Jeff Fisher said that he was unaware of any protest that occurred before the game.
Also from St. Louis, Darren Wilson, the police officer who has been at the center of the Ferguson protests, has resigned from his job. Wilson will receive no severance package, according to the mayor of Ferguson. A grand jury decided not to indict Wilson for the shooting of Michael Brown, but it's expected that the Brown family will pursue a civil case.
And that will wrap it up for today's news update. Jackson will be back with the break.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Welcome back to Good Morning KU. I'm Jackson Long here with a little bit of the weather forecast for this week. It's pretty chilly out if you've already been outside today, so the high's around 30. Could stay in the upper 20s actually today. There's a look outside there. Actually, the forecast for the rest of the week improves a little bit. There is a slight chance of rain as we get towards the weekend, but closer to the 40s and higher 30s, so not too nippy out there for you. So it should be a good week to welcome in December and enjoy some of the colder days, and actually just two more weeks of classes for students and 1 more week following that for finals. So that's your weather report. A couple things going on this week. Women's basketball on Thursday, men's basketball with a big matchup against Florida on Friday, and also on Friday the women's volleyball team gets a chance in the NCAA tournament. If they win that game, they have a game at 6:30 on Saturday as well. So that's your outlook, both sports and weather for this week. As always, thanks for joining us on Good Morning KU. Only one more show this year, so be sure to tune in to our final show on Monday. As always, have a wonderful Monday.